Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author Matt Adams.
It's strategy, so it's hitting. Sorry, I'm going to move this. I hate when my trophies get in the way.
Just that. Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome into the Fairways of Life show. Congratulations to Rory McIlroy. In just a second, we're going to hear from Rory. What he is accomplishing in the game is absolutely remarkable, and it is historic, which is why we're pausing here to make note of something that's happening right before our eyes, because I think sometimes that's the easiest thing to miss as history unfolds right before you, and we're definitely seeing history unfold. As to what he did yesterday, particularly on that back nine, he played the final 9 holes in 5 under. He had birdies at 10, 12, 15, and he had an eagle at the 14th. He led the field for the week in strokes gained off the tee at 5.970 and driving distance, wait for it, 336.7, 21 under mark, the second lowest score relative to par by a winner at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am since 1983. Brandt Snedeker was 22 under in 2015. Second tour victory in California, becomes the 6th international winner of the event. All told, Rory has won 27 times on the PGA Tour. He did it in his 258th start at the age of 35 years, 8 months, 29 days. He moves to 22nd on the all-time list of PGA Tour victories. He just edged him in front of Henry Picard. So for a player with 27 or more wins on the PGA Tour, which would include 4 or more wins in majors, Rory McIlroy now is the 12th all-time. That's how small that group is. All right, let's get to Rory's sound here, where Rory McIlroy was asked about his place in history by the assembled media. He was asked about whether he is motivated by Scottie Scheffler and what he has accomplished in the last couple years. But first, Rory, what are your thoughts upon what you just did?
You know, as much as I've hit, a couple of good tee shots down the 18th this week, I was excited to have a little bit of a cushion there, so I didn't have to hit driver again. So, I think, coming to the last hole at Pebble with a 3-shot lead and being able to enjoy it somewhat was really cool. It's been a great week for a lot of different reasons. Hole in one, playing Cyprus for the first time, obviously getting a win. It's been a really cool week, and obviously couldn't wish for a better start for my PGA Tour season. So, I've been on a nice run of form since last fall. I've played some really good golf and, continued that into this year. And, just obviously, as I said, just a great way to start the year. There's some venues in our game that just mean a little bit more than others, and that's probably to do with the history and the people that have won on those courses and what those people have meant to the game of golf. I've had a few close calls at St Andrews, which is another one of those important venues in our game. Augusta National being another one too. So to be able to get a win on one of those iconic venues is awesome. It's a very different test this week than what you would typically expect at a U.S. Open. So got to take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt. But I finally feel that my game can travel to any sort of golf course, in any conditions, in any setup. Really, I feel like I'm a very well-rounded golfer, and I can adapt to whatever I need to adapt to, and I was able to show that this weekend, especially yesterday with those conditions. Yeah, no, getting to that number is really cool. I think for me, it's even more meaningful that I don't really play a full schedule on the PGA Tour either. I split my time between here and the DP World Tour. But yeah, I don't know, I think up over 40 or close to 40 worldwide wins, which is a pretty cool number. So, but yeah, absolutely, 27 is a cool number on the PGA Tour, and hopefully I keep adding to that, and break the 30 barrier at some point this year, and keep going from there. I think there's two parts to it. I think it's strategy. So it's hitting. Sorry, I'm going to move this. This is careful. I hate when my trophies get in the way. It's strategy and picking more conservative targets at times, and maybe picking more conservative clubs off tees. But then I think the big thing is obviously short game as well. I've alluded to it this week a little bit. My short game last year was a little up and down. It was a little, I'd have a good week, then I'd have a bad week. There wasn't a ton of consistency in it. So, those are, the up and down on one, for example, today. It's a big up and down to get things going. The up and down on 4, same sort of thing. So, yeah, it's two parts. It's the strategy, and I think every time that I'm a big admirer of Scotty's for a lot of different reasons, but every time I play with him, and I watch how he plays and how disciplined he is, it's a really cool thing to watch. And I've alluded to it this week, but honestly, just trying to take a little bit of a leaf out of his book. When one of your peers has the year like he had last year, and honestly the year like he had in 23 as well. You start to take notice at what is he doing, and what has made him or helped him separate himself from the rest of the field. And to me, those are the two big things that he does better than anyone else. And it takes a certain mindset to do that too. He's not. There's impulses that I have on the golf course that it looks like Scotty doesn't have, and I have to rein those in, and I have to try to be a little more disciplined about it, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's not about that. If it so happens that I get close to that, then that would be cool. But this is really about just trying to get the best out of myself, and that's really it. I know if I can play to my capabilities and do what I did out there today a little bit more, then the world rankings or the wins or whatever will really take care of themselves. I mean, yeah, Scotty is and has been the best player in our game for the last couple of years, and I feel like I've been close but just not quite there. But that's motivating. That's motivating to try to get the best out of myself and try to become the best player in the world again.
Rory, on your interview on the green, you mentioned that you said to Harry coming up 18, start as you mean to go on. I was wondering if you could expand on that and what that means to you and Harry.
Yeah, exactly what I said. This is the start of the season, and I got a win pretty early and pretty convincingly, and that's what I want to continue to do.
Rory McIlroy now, second place went to his good friend Shane Lowry. Lowry was 5 under through his final 8 holes. That is his 4th runner-up on tour. So Shane was asked about, it always happens, you didn't win, right? So he's asked about, well, what can you take away from the week anyway? But some of his comments, once it turned to Rory McIlroy and his observations there, I thought were telling. So here's Shane on that.
Yeah, look, I'm happy enough for my week. I think we play at this level, especially when you go out with, the position I was in today, you play to win. You don't play to finish second. But, the way he was playing today, it was kind of, I certainly probably wasn't playing good enough to beat him. I felt like I got a lot out of my game today, and I felt like that was probably as good a score as I could have shot. I didn't hit the ball well. I was quite uncomfortable for the most part, and but I think it goes to show a lot about me and the character of me and my game that, I still come out finishing second today. And, I'm proud of myself how I battled. I had my first week of the season last week, and you go and miss the cut at Torrey Pines, a place that I like playing, and, that's obviously not ideal. But to come out here and kind of then go kind of go head to head with Rory down the stretch, it's pretty nice. It's kind of, the older I get, the doubts do creep in every year, if you still kind of have it to, at this level. And, when you go out there and kind of, I showed, even without my best stuff, what I was made of today. I'm pretty proud of myself. No, he tried to hit a 6-iron out of the bunker in the second. I don't think he was trying to do that. I said to Seth, I was like, look at this shot he's going for here. But, he's Rory McIlroy. He just played great today. That's what he did. He took control of the tournament, and, when I was making birdies, he was throwing birdies back, and then he made eagle on 14, and that was pretty much it, done and dusted then. But I said to my caddy walking up 14 green, I said, let's make him win this, let's not give it to him. And I thought, would have been nice to hold that in 17 and then hit a good tee shot on 18, but it's not to be. I don't think there's any difference in the game. I still think he's great. He has been for the last. He's been a top 5 golfer in the world. I think his slump was the 12th in the world. So I think, since I've become close to him the last 15 years, he's pretty much been in the top 10 in the world, top 5 in the world golfer. And I don't think his game is much different than it was. Really? Yeah, I really struggle in the right to left wing. Now, I don't think I have my best stuff. I probably know what was wrong. I was probably aiming too far left, and I wasn't getting a good strike on the ball, a good hit on the ball, and but I sort of managed my game pretty well. And I made a couple of bogey on 6 was a killer, but then I felt like I bounced back really well. I made great pars in 9 and 10, and then I played the back 9 quite well. When I got down out of the left, I seemed to be pretty good. So I'm just I'm kind of quite proud of myself, because the leaderboard's so bunched out there that you go from thinking you have a chance to win the tournament to you make a couple of bogeys out there and you feel like, geez, if I have a top 10, it'd be a half decent week. And I felt like I grinded out really hard to get myself back into a position where I felt like I could, I did feel like I had a grasp over him at a certain stage, but even to 17, I thought I put a great swing on that. I put him under a little bit of pressure there. Wasn't to be.
Interesting stuff there from Shane, no doubt. Now, I do want to get into the significance, historical significance, the time and place of what Rory McIlroy is doing, and we will get to that. But first, at the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions, which took place on the other side of the country in Orlando, Florida, Lim Kim ended up on 20 under par, and the winner, she held off Nelly Korda amongst those who were charging. Korda finishing on the mark of 18 under par. The world number 1 Korda was asked about how it feels to be back in the hunt to start the season.
Yeah, I love it. This is what I love about golf, being in the hunt on a Sunday, going back down the back 9. Yeah, I mean, I played well. I wish I had a couple of those putts back this week. I 3-putted 9 twice for par, and when you kind of think about it that way, I mean, you're never going to be happy with the outcome, but I think first week back, get into contention and play well is just, there's never anything bad about it, but definitely wish I had a couple of those putts back. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, definitely some areas where I feel like I need to kind of tighten up some loose ends, but overall I think I can't complain with the state of my golf game right now. I'll go out to the golf course tomorrow. I'll just play like a light 9 holes, and I have a thing where I don't really practice where I'm at tournaments. Like, my practice is done before my events, so I'll go play golf, or I'll go play holes when I'm doing my practice rounds. I'll putt really lightly, or I'll do some other stuff that I think I need to do, but I'll never have like a grind session at tournaments. So I'll just go out, play 9, see how the golf course looks, how it's playing, and call it a day. It's going to be a pretty short day. I just try to just plot my way around the golf course. It's never good when you kind of get too ahead of yourself and get a little too antsy and anxious. So I just really took it one shot at a time, and that's something Jason always reminds me of as well, is like you just have to stay very present. So I think that's one way or one tool that I use to really stay calm and present out there. Yeah, I'll glimpse at it. I think from my early days on tour, I would always watch where Jess was. So I think I've just always kind of just glimpsed at the leaderboard. I didn't really know how it was standing when I was on 18 because the leaderboard was kind of facing towards the grandstand. But I knew that I had a birdie to even have a chance. But Alim just played really well this week, and props to her. Congratulations on a great victory to her. Yeah, it's so much fun to play with like Derek Lowe, Kevin Millar. I mean, they're just great individuals to play alongside that keep it kind of easy and light first event back. And I love playing in front of my family. I always feel such a comfort. And the first time that I played out here, it was, I think, 21. It was the Game Bridge. I won that year. So there's just a sense of comfort out here.
All right, so congrats to Alim Kim on her victory and a nice start for Nelly Korda. Obviously, she's very pleased with getting off to such a great start in contention at the Tournament of Champions. That is the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament Champions. Give it its full due. We'll be back with more of the Fairways of Life show after these words. When we come back, I want to go down that road of what Rory McIlroy is doing and perhaps to float some theories out there as to the question of why.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can like have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core polymer material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Welcome back to Fairways of Life Show. Pleasure to have your company, folks, on this Monday. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. There was some news that came out about Phil Mickelson. He will not be making the starter for LIV. Apparently, Phil injured himself. This is the statement that Phil put out. While preparing for the season, I suffered a minor shoulder injury in the gym last week. I'm definitely disappointed that I will miss the season opener, but I look forward to playing in Annandale. Ali Snyder-Jans will Adelaide, I should say, no, Ali Snyder-Jans will tee it up for me this week, and I'll be pulling for my teammates from home. Phil Mickelson statement. Okay, so we wish Phil the best in whatever he did, but he's going to miss the first event for LIV for 2025, as he has informed. Okay, so, Dom, when you called me last night, we started going down the road of what Rory had accomplished with his victory at Pebble Beach. All of a sudden, the numbers started to come in, and they're good, but they were more than good. It was clear that what we were dealing with was a historic moment, a true march into history right before our eyes. And the question is kind of twofold, being that is what Rory's doing, is it being recognized in its proper place in full glory, or is it being, for any reason, overshadowed by other currents in the turbulent waters of golf at its highest level? Here's Rory's resume. 27 PGA Tour wins. As we mentioned, that's 22nd all-time. 18 DP Tour wins. That's 12th all-time. 4-time major champion, of course. 2019 Players Champion, a 3-time PGA Tour FedEx Cup champion, a 3-time PGA Tour Player of the Year, 6-time European Race to Dubai champion, 3rd in the official world golf rankings currently, 7-time European Ryder Cup player, and he's 35 years old. So presumably there are some years, when I'm not saying that to suggest that it's less, but more, with Rory McIlroy, given his proficiency. Even if he lost some distance off the tee, he averaged 330, if I'm not mistaken, almost 338 yards, I believe, last week. So the question is Rory playing well in the midst of all these things happening, or is Rory's play directly related to all of these things happening? You know, this kind of, I'd call it furtherment of purpose, perhaps, because there were times with Rory McIlroy where I think a fair question could be asked that, was Rory McIlroy kind of this, I don't know, how do you say, like going through the motions, or searching for a deep motivation that is, the kind of transcendental one, which is when you say, is it all worth it? I think that's probably too serious, but he definitely seems to have hit a different stride. That's the stuff we started talking about. So, Dom, I'm going to bump it over to you for a second, because you started to do the data on this, and honestly, instantly, it was very, very clear in what are cold numbers.
Yeah, it's a theory that I've created from nothing, I think. Andrew, get that graphic that I told you to save. This is what I brought to Matt last night when I was doing research, and I was just thinking about how things have unfolded over the last few years in the space of golf. So since the inception of LIV, so prior to LIV, right? No, you can see right there at the top, if you're watching on television, the screen there, November of 19, October of 20, basically 2 years. He had one win. He played okay at best, but noticeably subpar for Rory McIlroy. Then you see the timeline. The announcement of LIV existing is made. He joins the board to fight, whatever you want to call it. LIV has their first full season. There's a framework. He resigns and wants to focus on golf, et cetera, et cetera. While all this is happening, my argument to Matt was that was a catalyst for Rory. It lit a fire. It's like someone lit a match underneath him. And you can see at the bottom, these are the stats that Matt was referring to that I think support this theory. In the time since the worldwide starts since LIV, that is since the formation of LIV in October of 21, 73 worldwide starts for Rory, between the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour. 45 times he's finished in the top 10. That's 62% of the time in the last 3.5 years. And he's got 8 wins. That's 11% of those starts. Now, Scheffler and Schauffele, if you look at the bottom there, in that same stretch, right, the number 1 and 2 in the world, Scheffler's got 61% of his starts in that frame, top 10s, less than Rory. And, of course, he's got 13 wins. He's been on a tear. He's got 70% of the time he's got a win. Schauffele in the same stretch, who's number 2 in the world, Rory's currently number 3. 49% top 10s in that same 3-year stretch and only a 7% win percentage. So quite clearly, you can't argue it. Scotty and Rory are currently standing alone, especially if you look at it in terms of this stretch of time. But my question to you, Matt, and to the audience, to everybody watching and listening, is this. Do you think this theory has weight? Did this happen? Is this a thing?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question to ask. I mean, that stat that we're looking at right now, 73rd worldwide starts since the start of LIV, and he was kind of put in this position either by partially of his own volition, but he also said later on that he felt like he was somewhat used, I'm paraphrasing obviously, in the whole process, that he was speaking to the virtues of the PGA Tour and protecting that and the best and blah, 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 and then claims that he was blindsided too with a negotiation going on with LIV. And I think to Rory's credit, he has since softened his position relative to, I don't want to define it for him, but for the purpose of this discussion, I'll say the evils of LIV that he was spouting to initially, and now he's saying, no, there's a way for the world of golf to come together. He uses international football, soccer as kind of the guide here to say, at the top of the pyramid, you have the best of the best getting together. Well, the best of the best in our game is always going to be the majors, right? But then there's room for other events that bring them together, and everything kind of feeds towards that pinnacle. A building, an ascension for players at whatever level they're playing at, that once they start to play really well and start to dominate, they start to etch up. I think just as an aside, I think the criticism to that structure as it currently exists in the game is that while that's a noble objective, the way that the game is currently structured is kind of a rich get richer, where it's harder for players who are on the ascent to break into those levels perhaps as quickly as it might merit, because of the desire to keep some of the popular players that are going to bring in ratings and interest hanging around for a little while longer. That's one of the issues that a lot of people have. I'm one of them with, these signature events where you have no cut limited field, where I look at it and go, well, I understand you're trying to deliver for the people and you're trying to deliver for the ratings, and you got the winner that you could hope for out of Pebble Beach in that regard. But would it really have hurt to have 125 player field or 100 player field at least instead of 80, so that there was the chance that someone could pop up from the field, played, out of their minds, and either challenge for the top spot or even won it? Now, again, the people on the other side of that argument would look at me and go, what do you mean won it? You mean clipped Rory McIlroy? Because right now, Rory winning, I was at the gym this morning. I saw it on SportsCenter. They're going almost birdie for birdie and the eagle on the back nine today, right? Now, I'm not saying SportsCenter wouldn't do that, because SportsCenter is involved in broadcasting golf. Obviously, we do on ESPN Plus for PGA Tour Live. But I'm not used to seeing golf highlights that prominently as to when I saw it, how long I saw it, right? That's what I'm saying. An idiot like me notices it when I'm in the gym, because I'm used to watching basketball highlights and, hockey and everything else. And, yeah, you get something from golf in there, But this happened, in my view, because it's Rory McIlroy. So I don't think that the theory is without merit that Rory, because remember what Dom didn't put on that sheet was the drama, so-called, outside of the ropes, where Rory tried to get back into a position of power on the PGA Tour and was essentially denied. There's lots of official reasons given, but he was essentially denied. I mean, the pathway of Tiger Woods to be on that board was seemingly without obstacle. And when Rory tried to get back on the board, all of a sudden we hit with, we'd love to, but we got these provisions. Where I think it was because Rory has altered his initial position. He educated himself in such a way that he feels as though, no, there's merit here in getting something done. And I don't think that was meeting with the current objective of the power of the players who were like, we're all working towards something we believe, but there are things that we want to have happen along the way first. It's a mindset, right? So I think through all of that, one guy's opinion, I think Rory McIlroy's saying, no, you know what? I'm the one that controls what I do between the ropes. I can't control the other side of things. I can't control the people that hate me because of my initial position on LIV. I can't control the people that hate me because of my current position relative to what the PGA Tour should be doing. I can't control whether other players want my voice to be heard in a leadership role or not. Ultimately, as he learned by his own words, he really can't control even the manner in which his persona, again, using his words, is so-called used along the way. But what I can control is what I do. And from that standpoint, I think there is merit. I also think that there's also the question of when a player, we've seen it, when a player becomes a parent, and his daughter was born in August of 2020, when a player becomes a parent, a lot of times we see one of two things happen. Either their performance starts to become rocky, and if you look at when his daughter was born, where we were at with COVID, right? And at that time, the players were all putting out a lot of video clips and things that they were doing. And with a lot of the stuff that we saw from Rory was him hanging out down in South Florida by the pool. You remember that video he did with him bouncing the ball off the face of the wedge, or working out, the challenges with the Peloton bike and all that sort of stuff that was going on. And that was during that time period that Dom noticed where he said, well, he really wasn't playing great. And again, during that time period, yes, while it also happened to coincide with discussions of LIV, at that time, in my view, LIV wasn't viewed as a primary threat by the PGA Tour. You remember the press conference when Jay Monahan said, we're moving on, which detractors of Jay Monahan will say that was a massive, massive mistake. It was an overjudgment of their overplaying of their position at that time, right? And so I also think that there's merit in looking at these numbers relative to other aspects. Again, to reiterate, COVID and the unique nature of competing during that time. Maybe certain players feed off the energy from the galleries, and they weren't even existent for some of them. Maybe it was a reaction to, and it kind of takes me back to what I was saying earlier in the show, this kind of idea of, is it all worth it? You're looking at your new child, your new baby, and you're like, I don't want to be on the road all the time. So I think those things may have played into it as well. The bottom line is, Dom, I think what Rory's doing. I don't know if you were able to cobble together any more graphics and the numbers than what you did, but those numbers speak to an incredible period that we're in right now with Rory and Scotty, and whether as Rory said in yesterday's press conference, yeah, he's watching Scotty. He's keeping an eye on what Scotty's doing, and I don't know if it's Scotty's nature to do the same thing with him. Whether Xander Schauffele will, assert himself into the mix again, or if Xander is the type player that needs runway to get the speed up, and then he does remarkable things like he did last year, 2 of the 4 major championships. So I'll bounce it back to you with that, Dom, and see if that kind of encapsulated what you were looking for in terms of this discussion and the reflection it may have on Rory McIlroy and where we stand right now in 2025 with him.
I was agendaless. I'm not looking for anything. I think it's a fascinating discussion, and I think it's incredibly layered.
Yes,
as you're laying out, and some of the folks on the chat have been mentioning, that's Rory's been doing that. So has Scotty been doing that with the LIV guys off the tour, right?
That's a good point.
Better players not there.
That's a
but
good
again,
point.
That's another thing I was looking up. Like, there's a lot of discussion, and we've talked about on this show about on the LIV side it being top heavy. It's very top heavy.
Well, no. Let's define it. Let's define it. So in fairness,
I am going to define it right now with stats.
Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is, when we're talking about the LIV guys, you're talking about Brooks and you're talking about Bryson.
I'm talking about 4 players.
Go ahead.
So it's very but those 4 players not being there is a big deal. You've got Brooks, Bryson, Rahm, and Cam Smith.
Oh yeah,
those
Rahm.
Guys
Yeah,
are top,
fair point. Rahm and Cam
those
Smith.
Guys are top 10ing in majors.
Yeah.
Okay, they are.
Yeah.
But everybody else. I think the typical field on LIV Tour is 48 guys, is not doing anything. So you can't. It's hard for someone to come at me and say, well, Scotty's playing well because all the LIV guys aren't there. No, it's 4 guys. Dustin Johnson,
but that's
Dustin
a
Johnson, Phil
fair
Mickelson,
assessment.
Patrick Reed, Joaquin Niemann, Terrell Hatton, Sergio Garcia, all those people combined in the last 3 years, that's 12 majors per person. I think there's 3 top 10s.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Dom, is it is a very fair statement for people to make, because you're saying 4 guys. We're literally sitting here talking about 2.
True,
so
that is true.
There is
but
that.
Those 4 guys, that's an impact.
There is that element to it, and
that's
and then there's the other question. I mean, this is going way off the reservation right now with what we're talking about. There is the other discussion about golf and the strength of its respective ratings, and where people go, well, a lot of the personalities are playing on the other tour. They're playing on LIV, and I think there's merit to that, because that pulls in the DJs. The Patrick Reeds, et cetera, on top of those other guys. It widens the impact of that group, including even Phil Mickelson, for example. It widens the impact of that group because their characters and their personalities, whether they're absolutely on the boil and on form right now or not. I think one of the things that, and I don't know whether it was deliberate by LIV, if someone was sitting back, because if it was deliberate, it was kind of a genius move, where they basically took, think of it in terms of like a Disney movie. They basically took the villains, right? And villains are always complicated. The guys who you think are a villain at the start of the film, a lot of times turn out to not really be a villain at the end. So, but it robbed week to week on either tour our ability to see all these personalities in the mix, unless the majors, which I said years ago now, that the ones who are going to benefit from all of this strife are actually the majors. So it's fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating. But I don't think, in fairness, it takes very much away from the accomplishments of what Rory's doing or what Scotty's doing, because of the depth of field is still incredibly good. But I would say maybe there's even merit to someone that would have an argument and say, yeah, but this whole period of time on either side, this whole period of time has to have an asterisk next to it. Maybe so. Maybe there's something to that.
I don't think it needs an asterisk because again, when you look at things historically, if you were to look back at this time frame in 100 years, I still think all that's going to matter is the majors. So Scotty Scheffler's Masters are going to be just as important as Brooks Koepka's championship. Like, that's all that's going to matter, really. It doesn't really, none of it else really even matters. I mean, when you look back at Bernhard Langer's career, I don't think that people differentiate, and I don't think they will 100 years from now, the time that he spent on the European Tour, the Champions Tour, and the PGA Tour. I think they're just going to look at his bigger accomplishments.
Oh, the broad brush. Yeah. The only thing that's different with
that's
Bernhard.
all that matters. I don't think. Yeah, but my point is when you look at things with a longer lens, that's how it settles.
Yeah.
So to the Rory discussion, right? He hasn't won a major in a long time. He's come close. He screwed it up last year, but he's got to win majors in order to, like Matt or Andrew, put his resume back up. Like that. Oh yeah, you can do that too. Put that up, Andrew. So that's his major championship. That's another graphic.
All right, for the radio side, 63 major championship starts, 41 major championships, top 25s. That's 65%. But to Dom's point, you hear, again, look at this decades now. As a great player, decades on. 41 major championships, top 25. And in the eyes of history, as great as it is, they're going to go, meh. 31 major championships, top 10. That's 49%. Again, those two stats, what were Jack Nicklaus's stats in major championship top 25s or major championship top 10s? Dom, I'm not asking you so you look it up. I'm asking because when I ask that question to the audience, nobody knows the answer. Now, 18 major championship top 5s, 29%. That's where Nicklaus starts to come in. If you ask ardent golf fans, they'll go, oh yeah, he had 18 major championship wins, 19 second-place finishes, and 9 times he finished third. That number, because it's so remarkable, people actually do remember it. Do you know the same for Tiger? I couldn't quote it off for Tiger because he doesn't have that same as impressive bunch at the top, so I don't know. I would admit to you. If I knew, I'd tell you.
I'm getting numbers.
4 third-place finishes for Rory, 4 runner-up finishes for Rory, and 4 victories, or 6%. But he did have, of those top 10s, Dom has an asterisk on the bottom of the graphic, top 10 in 8 of his last 12 majors. So that's where the balance comes in. And
oh, that's crazy. The numbers I just got.
Go ahead, Dom.
So I think about all the tournaments that have taken place over the last 100 years with Jack and Tiger Woods.
Yes.
They both have the exact same major championship top 5 percentage. Wait, let me see that. That's insane. And which we didn't know. Andrew, put that back up. What's his top 5 percentage? 29%. Tiger and Jack's top 5 major championship percentage is 42.
Now, bear in mind, you're comparing Jack Nicklaus, who played in major championships until his mid-60s, to Tiger Woods, who is 15 years behind him.
Yeah, but he's kind of done. He ain't going to be playing in that many more tournaments.
But what I'm saying is Jack's percentages would have deteriorated in those latter years. Tiger has another 15 years of deterioration on his number by a direct comparison.
No, that's my point. He's not going to play it anymore. I mean, how many more majors is Tiger seriously going to play in?
That's a good point. I don't know the that's you. So you think the balance will be that
I think so. So Jack's number was man, we got off base here.
Yes,
Jack played in 164 events. Wait a second. I think I did this math wrong. Hold on a second. I think I gave you the wrong number.
It sounds like it. You're telling me if
34%. 34%. Jack's number was 34% because of the deterioration you're talking about. So what I was looking at, which is probably a better number, was his cuts made, which is 131, which is probably more likely a closer number to the events he was playing in when he was
but he's still going to have missed the cut in the last 20 years more often than he made it. So the hard part about what you're doing, just an aside, this is producing on the fly here, folks. The hard part, what you're doing, if you're going to do a comparison like that, you have to try to do it at a similar age range. Like Jack Nicklaus at 58 years old was in the mix at a U.S. Open and Masters. But in between, I think you have to pick a spot like 50 years old.
10 times. So the real number is probably about 124 events. No, the number I gave is about right. No, it's about right. That's a fair comparison.
I don't think it's a fair comparison yet because of the deterioration due to
No, I just
Jack's
gave you the
advancing
deterioration
age.
number. That's the number I gave you. I just did some math.
The 34%.
They're very similar.
The 34% is with the.
No, the 42% is pretty close to a fair number in terms of age comparison.
Because
If
you have
take
Tiger
out
right
the
now,
majors.
and you have what age
Correct.
did you put Jack down to?
I took out about 42 tournaments.
So
I deleted
you
them
took
from
out,
the total.
You had Jack at roughly 55, 56 years old, and you have Tiger at 49.
Well, yeah, because he finished sixth at the Masters in 1990.
Yeah, but what I'm
That's
saying is
crazy.
that's an outliner. At U.S. Open too, he did very, very well. But that's an outlier for Jack Nicklaus because he wasn't playing to that level all around that. He just had those two that were incredible at that age. I mean, truly, that's a whole nother show, another discussion about.
Yeah, no, we could.
stuff
I'm
that
looking at
Tiger
the
and
stats
Jack
right
did.
now. We could talk forever about it. It's insane. But we got way off base here. All I'm saying is, my original argument was, I think that Rory is back on the scene with the players we're talking about from LIV, and with some of the big names on the PGA Tour side. I would anticipate, with that fire being lit, if you assume my theory to be correct, that Rory is back. And that it relates to my question of the day, which was, will Rory McIlroy win a major championship this year? And 68% of the people are saying yes right now. So I think that Rory is back in the mix. I think because I think in 2020, for example, when you were going into a major championship with Brooks and all these big names, we weren't thinking Rory's probably got it in the bag this year. He's going to win. He wasn't in the mix. I feel like he is in the mix. When the Masters comes by, he's going to be in one of the four guys that's going to win.
He's of course going to be in the mix. But my thought with Rory is that, again, you're talking about it in terms of the eyes of history. We're living in it right now, and we're seeing crazy good performance, historic performance. But yes, Rory is going to be judged by major championships. That's the standard against which one is judged. Ultimately, that's it. Right? And what we saw at Pinehurst last year was that demons of Rory's past reared their head. So my view is that is Rory capable of winning a major championship, multiple major championships, going even on a run of sorts? Yeah, he is. But unlike his first few majors where he won by record amounts, I think for Rory to break through, particularly at Augusta, it's okay if Rory leads after 18. It's okay if Rory leads after 36. But after 54, he needs to be 2 or 3 behind. He needs to chip away at it into that back nine, get in the house, maybe one behind, maybe tied for the lead. Maybe he does something that has him one in front, but not nursing the lead coming down the stretch because we've seen that that's wearing on him. We've seen it multiple times, but I mean, Pinehurst was the ultimate example of what was going on there. Make him the chaser instead of the chased. And then have him sitting inside the clubhouse somewhere, whichever tournament it is, or Augusta National, whatever, and see if the person that's with him or persons do like what they did with Jack Nicklaus in '86, and they implode. And he finally gets it. Just as an aside, because this year is so remarkable with its major championships, and we're living in the wake of what just took place yesterday. You had Rory win, and we're talking about the context of what it all means. You had Shane Lowry finish second, and in the context of what that means, the Open is returning to Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. Shane, from the Republic of Ireland, won it the last time it was there in 19. And Rory, who's from Northern Ireland and on good form, think about that for a second. It'd almost be like a question of if you were looking at, when you're talking about Rory and saying, okay, let's talk about Rory for a second about the prospect of winning a major championships. I already gave you my personal recipe for the Masters. The PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, you're talking about Quail Hollow and Rory McIlroy. Oakmont. Oakmont is a bar fight. It's a big, brawny, tough golf course. Yeah, the putter's going to matter at Oakmont. Yes, don't deny that. But off the tee is probably, because I have my theory now, that it's drive for dough and putt for show in the modern game. And then you've got what I was just talking to you about, Royal Portrush, where Rory surely feels like he let one slip away last time. Has to. Didn't make the cut. I was with him both days at Portrush last time, round 1 and round 2. So the table is set up incredibly well for the major championships and all that lies in store. All right, we're going to say goodbye here on this Monday. Hope you guys have a great day. National show tomorrow. We got a special one queued up for you. Cannot wait for that. Hope you guys have a great one. Until we are together again, be well. Goodbye for now.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7. It doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm gonna go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy?
Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge. Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're gonna need all the easy you can get.
Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, You're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.